Hey guys, I know some people don't know other people, but nice to meet you. My name is Jones, and I am going to be very conscious today to try my very best not to read in the slides, but there will be a few that I read through. But mostly lots of imagery. And how's the sound? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah,
Yeah?
yeah.
Yeah, so I got asked to do this because I work on the industry side at Unity, and we thought it might be nice to talk about some transferable skills because a lot of the folks here are entertainment based. So yeah, going from games to industry, if you want to, and yeah, I'll give you kind of some background about me, how I ended up doing what I do, which is probably not what anyone except for one person in here does. And I work at Unity, so I can talk about how Unity supports industrial accounts. We'll go over a few use cases, some cool stuff, and then maybe talk about some opportunities for game devs in the new space. Yeah. So my name is Jones Levenson. I'm what is called the partner relations manager. All that means is customer success manager, frankly. Is everyone familiar with customer success? I can describe it briefly. Yeah, that's what I thought. I didn't know before I started this job either. So essentially what I do is I support accounts that are working in industrial gaming. So I'm assigned like enterprise level accounts that come to us, we come to Unity and we help them resolve issues. We give them solutions. A lot of these companies are like inventing, doing things that have never been done before. Not unlike entertainment, but because it's a somewhat new field, there's always new challenges. So I am not the technical guy. I'll say that now. I have some of that, but I'm not the guy. So I essentially will route them to solutions. And my background is project management, which I'll get into in a second. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about how I ended up doing this because I've never done it before, but I always wanted to do film. Film was the thing. I went to SCAD, got my master's there, and that manifested itself into an internship at what I thought was Universal Studios, like in LA. And I was excited. I'm gonna go out and make some movies for a summer, and ended up getting like the address and the information, and it was Universal Studios in Orlando. I went down there for a summer and had my mind blown. I ended up essentially at the company's called Universal Creative, and that's like the Disney Imagineering equivalent for Universal. And I worked in their media department. My first project was that Despicable Me ride. If you've ever been to Universal Studios in Orlando, yeah, that's where that is. And I don't want to make it sound too fancy. It was a lot of coffee running and staying up till 3 or 4 in the morning and rewatching that 6 minute show over and over again for a whole summer, looking at every single pixel, every frame, and making adjustments and supporting the team that was actually doing the work. Went back, finished my degree, and then I got an invite to come back and work at Creative. So I was there for 5 years. My first project was the Skull Island Ring of Kong. If anyone's ever done that, you have some elements of that to thank me for. Um, yeah, super cool ride. It's weird and strange, and there's not a whole lot like it, except that they've cloned it now and made a few other things that are exactly like it. But at the time, it was pretty pioneering. And I was what was called a show coordinator, it's like a just associate producer, pretty much low level. But I learned a lot. The cool thing about this project, and it started to open my mind to uh, this like continuous state of invention, where nothing that we did on this project had been done before. This wall, it's like the gosh, I forget what it's called now, but this is like a King Kong wall that he hides behind. We were told at the time there is no more complicated structural steel structure in the world. It was extremely expensive, and that's where most of the budget went was the steel for that. Meanwhile, we have this semi-autonomous vehicle going on a custom-made track that had like puck systems, and the tire tracks also like guided the system as well. So there's like all sorts of things happening here that had not been done before. And for me as a coming out of college and trying to figure out what the hell's going on, it was fun to kind of like coordinate between these various departments, mechanical engineering, structural, electrical, a lot of creative work, clearly, beautiful inside and out. And I was enamored. I loved it. So you'll have to forgive me. I might do back and forth a little bit just to see what's next. So this project was about 2.5 years, wrapped it up. I got invited over to the core studio at Creative, which is like the area of the company that comes up with projects before they get funding. So ideating, brainstorming, concept art. Again, not the artist at the time, just a little producer. But because I was, how do I phrase this nicely? This industry has a lot of legends from Imagineering, older gentlemen that have been in the same roles for like 40 years. So me coming in, I'm like this young guy bringing in, oh, he's a young guy. Let's like, what can we let him do? So this is a circa 2016, 17. What was the name of the first Oculus? Um, yeah, thank you. Rift. Rift came out and they were like, well, we got to explore that. Let's give it to the youngster. So they gave me this is my first project I kind of ran by myself. They gave me a budget, a very small budget, and a small team, and we worked on some really cool stuff. And the ask was, how do you apply like VR to a theme park environment and have the throughput to get like 1,000 people through a line in an hour? And is it practical? Is it fun? Does it make you throw up? And fun fact, everything in a theme park makes you throw up. And here's actually a really fun fact. If you've done the Forbidden Journey ride, the Harry Potter, it's like a kuka arm that you sit in like a bucket and they kind of fling you around after you have like 4 butterbeers. If you go into the um, if you go into that ride at night and they turn all the warehouse lights on, they have like these 360 screens they put you in. They are sprayed with vomit stains. It's like brown. It's like these blood splatters all across the screen. So they haven't installed any of the projects that we worked on, but they were super cool. And it was also my first foray into VR, into game development. In fact, my technical lead at the time, Andy BR, he works here at Unity, and he referred me for this role. So we kept in touch, and super smart guy, but we made some cool stuff. Ultimately, I ended up plateauing because just kind of like this old-timey hierarchy, I felt like it's time to move on. So I was considering it. I got this offer from another company called iTech Entertainment. They did do quite a bit of theme park contracting. And I had some great advice that I have kept forever, which is to follow the money. Not always the best advice, right? Like if you have a good job, stay with it. Please God, don't like ruin your life over this advice. But at the time, it made sense for me. And I went over to iTech Entertainment. And what do you think the first project I worked on? It was a Universal theme park project. I was working with my old team. Yeah, I just happened to be in the contract end of things. But we made this really cool Camp Jurassic area, or we designed it rather. We didn't actually make it. This is for Beijing, Universal Beijing. Again, this banyan tree in the middle, we were told at the time, you can't make that with this type of structural steel engineering, and they still did it. If you pay enough money, they'll figure it out. Um, but yeah, I had a really interesting time here. It also they were exploring Unity as an application for making little games. They had a small game studio, so I got really involved with that. And it just kind of started opening my mind to, look, man, I went to film school and now I'm doing theme park design. And like I'm a huge gamer, always have been. It's just very exciting when you jump to an engine for the first time. I'm sure like if anyone here is an engineer or a developer in any way, where you're like, oh my God, you could just, it's limitless. You can just do whatever you want. And that got me really excited. So did quite a bit of that there. And this is the end of 2019. I had my first layoff right before the pandemic, actually, due to some bad business deals with China. They laid a bunch of people off, and I wanted to talk. Zach and I were talking about it earlier, like before, that maybe it's important to mention the layoffs because it's a weird time, right? And we're all kind of dealing with it a little bit. And I've had quite a few, so we're going to talk about them. This first one happened right before the pandemic. Therefore, I was unemployed for a firm 9 months. It was a hard time, and I took some weird jobs and worked in a warehouse, did Uber driving during the pandemic. But at the time, I also was like, okay, look, dude, now's the time. I'm gonna just teach myself to code and teach myself game development. If I really want to do this, like, I'm gonna go for it. So started a game back then, and I'm still working on it today. And I love it. It's a blast. So it's just kind of worth mentioning because I want us to be able to empathize with each other as a community, like of game developers. Like it is hard out there. We got to support each other and lift each other up. And if you have opportunities that you can't take, like connect someone else that you know. And like Andy got me this job, and I'm really, really, truly grateful for that. So layoff one ended, and the official transition to industrial gaming began. Shortest story, actually. This was before I got any job offer. You familiar with the Netflix show Nailed It? It's like a baking show. It's kind of a kid's show. Oh well, oh you did? Well, so did I, and I was on an episode. I got invited out to Burbank with my mom, and we were in the episode together. Um, while I'm out there, this is also still during the pandemic. It was a lot of fun, except for the pandemic element. They kept us out there for like 9 days because they're like, checkpoints and testing and this and that. No one could be around each other. So as I'm out here for 9 days, I get job offer number one, which was an adjunct professor at an online college next to my friend. I was going to end up teaching screenwriting. So I'm like, okay, semester's about to start. I'm jumping into the syllabus. I'm creating my first lesson. 2 days later, I get a true job offer at Cubic Corporation. So now I've got two jobs and I'm fully overwhelmed and I'm trying to do the shoot and it was a whole thing. So fun little story there. But Cubic is a massive corporation. They got their hands in everything, like so much, way too much. And they're global. They hired me to come on. Excuse me. Much pizza. They hired me to come on and work as a project manager on a VR project, and the project itself was training and simulation. And as you'll find while I'm talking through a lot of this, much of this work is under NDA and a lot of it's under government security compliance. And I can say that Cubic was as well. So I can't get into the specifics, but the simple way of explaining it is making a game in VR. At the time, we were using Unreal, and there is some amount of training soldiers to do certain things. Got it? Yeah. Probably going to say that like four more times. Um, we wrapped that project up, but that was really my first taste of this world, and I kind of identified an opportunity for myself, like how many project managers out there with industrial gaming VR background, several projects completed are there probably in the world? And the short answer is like a lot more than I thought. So let's do that. But it's honestly because a lot of people come over from entertainment into industry, and it's just an easy transition, which we'll talk about like transferable skills at some point. I wrapped up a project there. It was a contract role. They asked me to stay, but like I got this other opportunity at a company called Education XR, which is a really, really cool Unity toolkit. Sorry, it's more like an asset. It's like a framework. I don't think you can get it on the asset store. But they also had a small production sector within the company, very small startup. In fact, I just saw them at AES in Dallas, and they're still small, still the same team. So then they're killing it, which is great. But they were not under compliance, so I can talk about it a little bit. Quite a bit of what they do is for medical companies, different demos. The idea is that their products are all lightweight, very performant. They are cross-platform and multiplayer. And it's all baked in there. So as a customer, you don't have to worry about setting any of that up. You just do it. You make your environments and your models and you put them in, bake your lighting. So we were doing quite a bit of that work. I was specifically just as a project manager again. But like one good example, we had a contract with Medtronic, which is a big medical company. They had a new CAT scan machine they were working on, not complete, and they wanted to take it to trade shows. Is it cheaper to take a VR headset to a trade show or an entire CAT scan system and machine into a booth? Easy answer. So it's a really cool opportunity to like as a someone in that space, retailer or a hospital who's looking for devices like this, put on the headset, you walk around it, you get the scale of it, you understand like what the kind of basic functions are and what the movement looks like. It sounds really simple, but there's a lot of money circulating environments like this. Medical, government, manufacturing, aerospace. It sounds simple, but these can also get really complex. Just a simple example. Um, Left there, went and worked for the enemy advertising for about a year and a half. And if you're a gamer, you probably saw some of my awful interactive ads in between every single game. I was very good at that job, so a lot of mine were out there, and I'm so sorry. I was there for about a year and a half, and then let's see, Emily.
Imagine building an immersive learning experience.
I'm gonna mute it. I guess there's a couple of examples here, but just kind of like some cool stuff that Education XR was doing. You can see it's kind of like a little kit that you can bring into Unity. Just kind of skip through here. There's a visual scripting option. I don't want to be like an advertisement for this company, but look, oh, no, there's one of my projects. There it is. This little machine here. God, I hated that thing. I don't remember doing a mental health project, but I really truly I was there for less than a year, so they've continued and continue to make awesome stuff. So it's tough to say. But like if you've ever seen these weird heads in a project, that's them. So yeah, just example of what they're up to. So then I got laid off after the advertising. Bad business yet again. They hired too fast. They were growing too much. They were making great deals, and then I think my assumption is the owner wanted to sell and he needed to trim up. So they did. Uh, to make matters more exciting, at the time I was working as a nomad, traveling nomad, laptop life, and I didn't have a home. And I was like, hey, parents, can I come bunk with you for like a few weeks till I figure out my shit? And a few weeks turned into 5 months, and we're lucky it didn't turn into a Dateline episode, but yeah, again, layoffs, and this is 2022, so we're 2 years after the previous one. Just skipping stones between jobs, and again, it can make you feel really undervalued, despite the value of your work. So if you're ever going through this, it's just important to remember that the value is still there. You just don't have the work at the time. And work always comes. Like there's always a job and it's always going to happen. You just keep looking. Yeah, so finally, thank God, that was the hardest one. I did get an offer from a company called Leidos. You may have seen this logo. If you're going through TSA at Austin Airport security and you go like this, that's their machine. They see that logo pretty much throughout airports. Again, another major global company. They got their hands in everything. And I was hired here on a project that I absolutely cannot talk about. This was a government-based project, and I was required actually to get top secret security clearance for this role. And I think I just wanted to mention it because security compliance is often a factor when working in industrial gaming, especially if it's government related. And I was just telling Brandon a second ago, this role, the project itself did not require compliance. They just wanted everyone to have the compliance uh, as like a blanket coverage, but because of the nature of that work and the NDA, still unable to discuss it. But more simulated training. Is everyone familiar with the term digital twin? Yeah. Lots of nods, I guess. Well, so if not, essentially you're recreating something in real life in a virtual space, and that's about it. Sounds simple, but when it comes to, let's say, an aircraft, um, the components that are involved are so tight and so specific, they have to be exact. Like there's no room for error or adjustments later on. When you deliver a project like this, there's no DLC, there's no patches or hot fixes or updates. At the end of a contract, you give them the product and it's over. And if you didn't do it right, man, good luck going to legal battle with the government. Um, so I was there for about a year and a half, and I got laid off. Um, Fun one. This was a government contract adjustment. If you've ever worked in the government spaces, a lot of times these are contracts within contracts within contracts under subcontracts. And this, agency owns part of it, and another agency owns a different part. And when it was 2024, they were doing a little bit of trimming, and a large contract got cut, and therefore across many companies did things and projects get shut down, which is nuts because this project was 1 month away from delivery. So after 6 years of this project, I came out on much later. They waited way too long for a project manager, but I came in way later, cleaned it up for them, and we were about to get there, and they shut her down. So, and it's actually Eric. I wish he was here because I'm Eric Drzezinski, works here at Unity. We found out he worked on this project as well at a different company 5 years before at Booz Allen. So it just shows you how kind of I don't want this to sound bad. It's a little incestual, just the environment of the industrial space because it is still small. And I say that because lots of opportunity. And then luckily got asked to come to Unity. And it's kind of just I just wanted to mention my whole career. If you ever do an interview with me, that's what it's going to sound like. Um, yeah, I mean, it just kind of shows like how weird this industry, the path that it can take you on is very unexpected. I've just worked on things that I never thought I would. And if you asked me back in film school, what did you want to do with your life? I would have never said anything like this. But it's fun and I love it. And I love it because it's inventing. It's the same kind of thing. It's like a different variety of creativity. It may be more specific as far as the requirements, but you're still doing essentially things that have never been done before. And I love that. I love that sensation. So I ended up at Unity. Now I'm a partner relations manager. It's customer success manager. I support accounts, and I help them do all the things that I had been doing previously. So don't read all this. Don't worry about it. Just skip it. It's a lot of text. But I just wanted to point out one thing, which is now Unity offers an industry-specific license. It's a totally different product. And that's because Unity has identified that the industry side of things is growing rapidly. These companies, these major companies with too much budget are trying to figure out what to do with that money. And they're realizing that, hey, dude, like maybe it's better to create this virtually, create a digital twin than to send six soldiers, six pilots into an aircraft and let them waste 12 hours of fuel to do 1 day of training and then bring them back down and send the next one up. You put them in a VR headset and a skiff, and a skiff is a offline environment that's protected and does not reach internet. A lot of these companies use that, so I say it. Yeah, so it just makes sense. So there's a lot of investment going into it. So Unity is on board with that. And it's mostly the advantages here are like support mostly. Again, like what I do, these companies are just making stuff up out of thin air. Therefore, there are not like existing forum posts or support tickets. It may not be on the roadmap. So we make sure all that stuff is getting routed appropriately. Um, so where am I? Am I not on here? Well, that's a shame. Yeah, sorry, I didn't want to read this stuff, but am I the second? What? Where? Oh yeah, that's me. That's me. Yeah, we shouldn't say monthly emails. This is old. Um, yeah, I do a lot more than that, I promise. But then we also provide access to like build servers, something that isn't typically offered with a regular license. We have like this professional training platform that's offered to industry customers, lots of support getting onboarded. And because a lot of these companies are doing like offline, they are interested in virtual private cloud. They have solutions that maybe a typical entertainment company might not require. And again, we just kind of have a little team that we work with. We have engineers that are dedicated as part of this industry product. Use cases. Let's talk about a few. Yeah, sorry, I'm going to read through some of these and maybe just elaborate on them. So again, digital twins. Big work in digital twins. If you're a modeler, big opportunities here. And again, it's maybe not quite so creative, but it is more direct. So when you get a requirement and you have, let's say you're making a character and it's colorful and has purple hair, and they're like, no, make it cooler. No, make it like sexier. No, make it less sexy. You have 15, 20 iterations of this before your creative director says, I hate that. We don't like this character anymore. Digital twins, it's the one thing. You make that one thing and you make it perfect and you make it once and that's it. So it's a different type of thing altogether, but it is still modeling. It's still creating materials, it's artwork, and there is some concept art in there as well. So yeah, digital twin examples, whatever systems, there's factories, different types of equipment. At Education XR, I worked on a forklift for a while. It was a really fun one. A lot of times this can look like taking real CAD files and bringing them into your engine environment and make sure they're optimized, because like CAD is not the same thing as what can be performant in a game. So it's part of the process is you're bringing that value as well. Yeah, virtual assembly lines and workflow simulation. I don't actually have any customers that do assembly lines, but one thing I have learned about it is the dollar value of every second that like a large assembly line goes down could potentially be millions of dollars. So building it in a virtual environment, making sure all the systems work, that they're in place is incredibly valuable. Robotics. I have a friend here in town who works Dr. Pepper, I think, and he makes like it's really confusing. I think he makes cereal machines. But they do it virtually first because it's much cheaper to make sure that it's all working effectively before you go and build really intricate robotic systems that have not been made before. VR, AR training, lots of XR. Big advantage if you have any experience with XR, for sure. Training for operators, technicians, pilots, and ground crews. That's because we'll get into it in a minute. If you're not familiar with HMI, it's human machine interface. A lot of these companies want to create game experiences that also have like the actual physical like controller that you're going to be using, or all the switches that you need to flip, or connect the circuits, like the real stuff interacting with the virtual game for training purposes. And again, big money saver. Maintenance. Most of my work, I know it's like government compliance and all this, but I can say a lot of it has been maintenance. Like the people that work on planes, the people that work on spacecraft and things like this. It's almost, I'm not going to say it's a bigger job, but there's a lot more of them doing it. To get an aircraft off the ground versus having one pilot in the cockpit, There's a lot that goes into it. So simulations, training. Um, yeah, mission and I kind of just said it, but mission and procedural rehearsal, procedure rehearsal. Yeah, for sure, emergency scenarios. You don't want to get into a situation that's hairy and not have had some really detailed virtual training. A big one that is growing is geospatial terrain visualization. There are new tools kind of coming onto the market for this kind of thing, but imagine an example could be, you have a strike mission. I'm sorry, a lot of my background is defense, so that's probably going to be my examples. But yeah, you have a mission that requires the enemy base. It has to be exactly accurate. Oh, Top Gun Maverick. You know how they like have there's like a volcano or whatever. I don't really remember what it is, but they have it like all mapped out in 3D. And they're like, oh, we just have this. Nah, dude. That was like 2 years of getting that to look exactly right so they could do this incredible training mission. But you can guarantee there were some game developers back behind that if that were real life. Um, yeah, cabins, cockpits, layouts, facilities, all these buttons. If you have no experience in like a large airliner, the procedure to like turn on a plane is like 25 buttons and the right order and flipping them back down and flipping them up and pressing this and then wait, oh, I pressed the wrong one. We got to start over. So yeah, doing it virtually versus in real life is a lot easier. Um, Quality control and inspection visualization, man. The quality control element of industry is of a lot of these industries are super tight, and they often don't invest enough. So doing this virtually provides opportunity there for just to perfect things before they even make it into a real life production. Again, human machine interface prototyping without hardware. This is like I put this image here. It's not really a good example, but just to get the idea of, just imagine this is what the controls are on the inside. So this is a demo that one of my solutions engineers on the industry side, John Fucher, super smart, sharp guy, created to kind of display what could be done with a robot warehouse, not unlike Amazon. And he wanted to kind of mix in a couple of different things, AI, VR, and dots. Don't ask me to explain dots. I know what it means loosely, but you can look it up later. So I'll just it's like a little sizzle reel. I'll just play and you can kind of see. So yeah, it's like a robot warehouse. Um, just showing them moving around. You can see what one of these actual projects might look like. This is all happening in VR. And what's really cool about it is there's like a little microphone. I think it's in this video where you can speak into and give these robots commands. And let me turn it up just in case.
Rotate the robot.
Wild apple. That's John right there. I don't know who that guy is. But yeah, just an interesting display of like, come on now, Zoom. Stand by. Yeah, just an interesting like an example of what of one of these things. We've really honed our demos around the robotic factories, a couple of them because they make a lot of sense and there's a true practical understanding of what those are because we see them on YouTube, and this way you get to see it being done kind of in 3D in gaming. Okay, I'm gonna read stuff. Sorry. Opportunities for game devs. I just wanted to quickly go over transferable skills. There's a lot of great talent in this room. I know that. So maybe just kind of applying these skill sets to other industries that you may not have considered. Real-time 3D development. It's the same thing. Okay, it's the same thing. So you're just doing it in a different industry. That's all. Systems design and rapid prototyping for sure. The prototyping is a big part of this job, especially when it comes to products. So like something that you might hold in your hand or other smaller component elements. Yeah, making this over and over and over and over and over again in real life is not cost effective. So if you have any background in industrial design, that's a huge advantage as well. Yeah, physical XR interfaces, as I mentioned, the HMI is a really important thing for a lot of these industries when they're making a game. UX design for complex interactive environments. Again, I mentioned like the flight control system, complex forklift instructions. Um, uh, this is like, I've worked on some of this stuff. There's honestly, most boring part of actually playing any of these games is like flipping 100 switches in the right order, especially if you're doing quality control as a project manager. But yeah, it's super important. So being a UX designer who understands the intricate logic of systems like these is extremely important. And it's not the kind of thing that you can mess up on and deliver a product and it happens to be the wrong thing. And then you've trained 1,000, employees the wrong order of buttons and you gotta start all over. They got to change their systems. Tech art, super important. I think tech art and this is my personal opinion, but the tech art and the industrial sectors is not understood. They don't really know what it is or what it does. So you might become like more of a generalist, but I did mention like CAD import, polydecimation, anything that requires like a more technical art systems design, essentially the same type of work. But you get to be the guy that everyone comes to because it's the in-betweener and they don't know where to put certain tasks for certain roles. Um, so yeah, very valuable. Simulation logic, physics tuning, tune a vehicle or robot behavior to match real world motion. Just one example. Project coordination, pipeline management. Um, I love doing that work. It's really fun. I love I really enjoy like creating my own little systems that help us track tasks, keep us on board on the same page. Various, like these different softwares and solutions you can bring into the situation can already feel everyone's eyes glazing over because no one cares about that. But yeah, if you don't have a background in project coordination at all, like it's worth exploring. During one of my layoffs, I met a guy on LinkedIn. He was a recruiter at, I think, EA. He was like, we're not going to hire you, but I can give you some advice. And he advised, like, if you want, we're all working game devs, maybe not. Maybe some are still trying to get in or do something else entirely. And you're just interested because this is a cool little office. But to get in using project management, which I was already doing, to get in using QA, quality assurance, super important role. So same kind of thing. I just suggest exploring it if you're looking for opportunities and you're not seeing the work that you're looking for, try something else. I've done it many times. Follow the money. Data visual, let's see, performance optimization for constrained hardware. Yeah, for sure. A lot of these companies and these games, they're not running on hard PCs. They're running on like makeshift Raspberry Pi garbage. Like you got to make sure that whatever you're building is optimized for the specific hardware. So if you have a background in that, also very helpful thing. If you don't have a background in that, you're a developer, it's like not that hard to learn. So like maybe taking some time to just develop your skills outside of traditional gaming. Yeah, let's see. I'm sorry. Data visualization inside active interactive worlds. Yeah, live machine data as gauges or overlays in 3D space. One example of this is like I don't want to get in trouble because my boss asked me to record this, so I'm gonna show it to her later. But I'm pretty sure, call me out if it's not accurate, but newer BMW vehicles are going to be using Unity build as their on-screen like speedometers, kind of like Tesla has their screens or whatever. Um, Another example of human machine interface. But there's an element of this called safety render, which is really hard to do. It means you can't just like make a build, you have to work with the hardware that's within the vehicle. So making sure the speedometer is accurate at the moment that it's hitting the right speed, like that, the timing element of that, there can be no delay. So yeah, data visualization, super important. AI behavior design. I mean, everyone wants AI, right? I can say that I do have one account that is creating NPCs that are utilizing AI and Unity's inference engine for branching scenarios. So interesting stuff. I mean, still growing. Good opportunity to explore that. Tool creation for content teams and operators. I have this account that they have really complex projects and they use a lot of tools. They are not interested in waiting on solutions to connect all of these tools and components, so they build their own. So if you have any experience with Python or Java or something that might be able to create custom tools around engines, around different um, some of these really specific systems, like whatever these kind of made up Raspberry Pi type things, that's really valuable. It really is, and I see it happening in the real world. How can you transition to industry? Just do it. Yeah, just go make some stuff, man. Like, how did you get into gaming? You started making small games, you made little demos. Do the same thing here. If you're interested, start building it out, build your portfolio out, create some cool looking stuff, not just performance stuff. Like, make it look cool, make it flashy, but also make it industrial. Um, I wanted to mention the Nike's web-based shoe designer is not made with Unity, but if you made one yourself, that's pretty cool, and that looks great in a little portfolio. Yeah, I mentioned recreate a real tool or workflow in Unity as a proof of concept. Convert a CAD model into a clean, optimized real-time scenario for your portfolio. One thing I haven't mentioned that's big in this industry is architecture and structural engineering. They all kind of are moving towards visualizing it in 3D and also, giving it some functions and letting you fly through the space in VR and things like this. That's getting a lot bigger, and in fact, it's almost standard. So if you can find a true CAD model of an existing building, take some pictures of it, and then show you've made it in 3D exactly, pretty cool. So I have two demos. How are we doing on time? Am I good?
We might let's do the Q&A.
Okay. Yeah, we'll come back to it. So thanks. That's it. If you want to hit me up, do it on LinkedIn, please. This is a personal plug, but I am still making my 7-year-old game. If you want to follow it, it's right there. I have a version coming out that can be tested in like a month. If you want a free Steam key, hit it up and you're gonna play my broken game.
So we're gonna hand out this microphone. You can use the lapel behind you.
Or if you can project, if you can.
Yeah.
You can just speak into that or
Yeah,
I don't have a voice that carries, so.
That's my favorite.
Okay.
Just turn it on here.
All right.
All right. Questions?
Any questions?
Yeah, how did you plan the money twice? How did you plan follow the money? Did you plan?
The question is, how did I plan to follow the money?
Yeah,
I guess I didn't plan. The layoffs made me do it. But I think I've always remained open to not following the same career path. That's why it's been so diverse. I keep moving into situations that I wasn't expecting. And while that can be a little debilitating as far as like you build up a skill set, you go to the next job, you don't use it again. That's unfortunate. At the same time, you're diversifying your skill set and you're becoming, stronger in broader categories. So if you feel like there's an opportunity outside of the kind of main line of what you're expecting or hoping to do with your career, just try it out, get a taste, leave your company, go. If you're not happy, man, that's a big thing. If you're not happy at your job, like leave, man, go do a different one. There's work out there.
Hey, sorry, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe all the QR codes are the same. Yeah.
Well, that's too bad. What came up?
I tried to get the free Instagram to be your Instagram.
Oh, so they're all Instagram?
They're all Instagram.
I'm sorry. You should just have to follow.
That's a way to do promo for your.
Yeah, my bad. No, if you want to come get it, we'll bump our phone tips together. What are the kids are doing these days?
I've kind of worked a little bit in AR and a little bit of industrial stuff as well.
Cool.
But I think you did mention that this is also related for real estate and also for tourism as well. Those are also places where there's a lot of opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. I didn't think we had anything else to say.
No, that's okay. It's a good point. Yeah, real estate and tourism, like clear. In fact, I should have mentioned the first VR project I ever worked on was a digital twin of that King Kong ride, and it like blew our executive minds, and that's why we ended up getting funding for like VR exploration. So yeah, great point. Tourism's a big one. A lot of these like weird shopping centers or half themed rainforest cafe type places. You want to build those out virtually and make sure that they feel right before you. I could go about into the tourism design element for a long time. I was not gonna do that, but yeah, good point. Anybody else? Yeah.
Okay, thanks, I appreciate it. Where would one, like, where would one start looking for jobs like these? Just LinkedIn or?
Yeah, where would one start looking? Well, I again, like it's been a weird thing for me because I fell into it early on. LinkedIn is a great place to do it. Literally for my work, I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, like trying to find the right people to talk to. So I think that's probably number one. Like it sounds simple, but just reaching out and talking to people. And I don't want this to sound bad, but it's gonna. But the you will find an industry that in the game development kind of areas of these companies, the ego is a little bit less intense because you're not at like an EA, right? Where they've got this long time established, many hundreds of developers type of thing. I'm not trying to call out EA specifically, but just like a large company where the egos might have been in place for a while. The industry doesn't care about your creativity. They want you to make the thing that they're trying to make. So I've recommended to others to reach out to maybe people that work at these companies, but also just like take a look at what they are hiring for. It may not be called something that you're expecting it to. It may not be called game developer. It might be called like industrial designer, like something that. So hate to say this, but like go to ChatGPT and be like, what role should I be looking for if I want to look for industrial gaming jobs? Because they're constantly fluctuating and changing and like evolving with as all this stuff grows. Is that helpful?
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks.
I got another one.
Yeah.
With the security clearance stuff, is that something that transferred from job to job? Did you have to get cleared?
It's funny you ask because I was just looking it up the other day. I was like, do I still have this thing? Apparently mine lasts for like 5 years. There's this whole element where like your company kind of has to sponsor it, but it's very expensive for the government to do, at least the top secret that I had. Yeah, it's a really fun story if you want to ask about it later. But yeah, I think I still have it.
So it sounds like not something you can do in advance before applying.
No. If it were to come down to that, like the company that is hiring you would likely sponsor the payment for that. I think it's like, I mean, mine was over 30 grand, so it's not like something you can just, oh, maybe you can. I don't know.
Thank you.
Where do you go for, because we have last question.
So there are a lot of applications of design or game development, but do you see any of your clients actually wanting to do things with Unity that are not currently possible, like extending the engine itself, or like not just tooling for it, but actually what the engine
All the
can do?
time, all the time. Yeah, yes, short answer. Longer answer, that's why they've got PRMs as part of the industry product, because we're kind of like trying to help these companies push the boundaries of things that may not quite exist. I can speak to one specific example, and this is not what you're talking about, but just like an example of what kind of that pipeline might look like. I had an account that needed something out of Unity's UI toolkit when Unity 6 came out. That was not a feature yet. And yeah, opinions, but yeah, I basically took it to directly to our UI toolkit team, said, we have a customer who I really like, and they need this. Is it on the roadmap? They said, yes. Can we talk to the customer? So I got them in a call with our UI toolkit team, and we moved that feature up on the roadmap by like a year. So I'm not saying that that's going to happen in every case, but it has happened. But as far as things, the short answer is like, yeah, we're always getting requests for stuff that Unity can't do yet, and maybe is not even on the roadmap. But because we have identified industry as such a growth opportunity as a company, there's a lot more investment going into it. So when we hear things like that, like maybe it's a feature that doesn't exist, or we actually just released this year Asset Manager, which is a totally agnostic tool of Unity that helps you manage your assets in a cloud-based environment. Like that didn't exist before, but we also look at it as like great for all game development, but for industry, when it comes to things like rapid prototyping, products that are changing in real time that need to be updated, like it's a good tool for something like that. So probably should have led with that, but that's a good example. Yeah.
Well, thanks, Jones.
Yeah.
People are more than welcome to come and talk to you. I know you live south, so I don't know.
No, it's okay. I'm hanging
Okay,
out.
cool. Come and talk to Jones.
Yeah,
if
and
you have any
I'll have
questions
my
about stuff.
LinkedIn on my phone.
I am just curious, show of hands here, who would be interested in more like, even if it's not necessarily this meetup, just in general, more programming around what Unity does in the industrial space? Because that's a thing that, okay, so I'm seeing some hands. It's okay if you don't. We're not trying to force anything. It's just it's
I feel
an area.
good. It's fine.
It's an area where I think we could certainly help some of our community because as Jones mentioned, there's a lot of people that are unemployed having a rougher time in games. Even if only for a little bit, you can end up going into the industrial side. It generally is more lucrative and can maybe provide more stability if that's what you need. So anyway, thanks everybody for testing this out. Thanks, Jones, for giving the talk.
Mhm.
And yeah, ask him any questions after.
Thanks, guys.